and 1 to go is in the air. Final circuit of caution, and we will get to see racing at Berlin Raceway 2011 for the CRA Super Series.
Pace car lights are out just a half a mile away before we crank them up for the first time in racing action here tonight at Berlin Raceway. Pace car tucked down in turn number 1. Brandon Hermiller will set your pace down the back straightaway. Hunter Robbins to the outside. Caleb Bazaki and Joe Bush lined up in turn number 2 as they start to pick it up over in turn 3.
Top 2 to transfer. Green flag waving off of 4. Looks like a pretty good start there. Nose to tail, bumper to bumper, and Robbins is right up along the outside wall coming down the front stretch. Down into the first turn, the number 6 of Hermiller into the lead.
Looks like a great battle for the second spot as Hermiller checks out by 3 car lengths to the inside as Caleb Bazaki underneath Hunter Robbins trying to hold on. The outside is Bazaki. Spins it, loops it off of turn number 4, and one car's team car actually spins also into him, and a caution will fly. Justin Regnieris and Caleb Bazaki, your first caution, just a lap into the books.
Man, Basaki sideways from the middle of 3 and 4. Looked like he was going to save it. He kept working the wheel, came all the way off of the 4th turn, and finally on the front stretch, the car goes around. Caleb Basaki from Spring Lake, Michigan, the Perfect Circle Race Cars Ford, really free in turns 3 and 4, coming to the 1 lap in mark, and he goes spinning for the first caution of the evening.
Hard on the gas. Hermiller leads him off at turn number 4.
Green is back out, and Hermiller leads the field again. We'll see if Robbins can drop in front of Brown for that second position. He does. He holds on to the final transfer spot. In fact, he goes for the lead. Robbins drops to the bottom side of Hermiller in 3.
Hermiller slips up a groove. Robbins right down on the bottom trying to make it stick. Hermiller is going to be clear back to turn number 1.
Blake Brown dropped to the bottom on the turn 1 portion of the track for a moment. Thought about making a move on the 18 of Robbins. No can do. Here comes Joe Bush in the 00 car, filling in for Andy Ponstein tonight. Kozlek running the high side.
Kozlek running the high side. Tight race car off at turn number 4. They continue to race side by side. Good battle there for the second spot. Joe Bush stepping in for Andy Ponstein in the 00 car will give Bush the advantage in 3.
Side by side though, Kozlek fighting back. On the inside is Bush. Bush in that beautiful 00 car, the Perfect Circle race car entry, one of the sharpest cars we have on the property. He hangs on to 4th. Kozlek drops in line. We're single file formation. Top 7. First battle, double wide for about the 8th spot. Jay Niewick on the inside of the 77 car of Andrew Nylon.
Nylon trying to hold on. Brand new race car, the Performance Racing Engines machine. Slipping back on the high side, Jordan Dalkey now will look to the inside as Niewick will clear him off at turn number 2 as Dalkey follows him by.
Single file around the speedway now in a battle for 3rd about to take place. The 00 of Joe Bush. We mentioned him moments ago. He's caught the rear bumper of the Ford 71 of Blake Brown. Drops to the inside in turn 2.
Brown trying to hold on to that 3rd spot, keep the front 2 in his sight. It's only the 2 cars that finish 1st and 2nd, transferring into the Rowdy 251, and right now, Brandon Hermiller, 5 car lengths out in front of Hunter Robbins.
Next time around, we'll see the cross flag signifying halfway. It'll be 8 laps in, 7 laps to go. Next time at the line, battle for 3rd. Here comes Bush to the inside of Brown. They don't want to wait too long to make their battle for 3rd because 2nd place, Hunter Robbins, starts to pull away.
Bush trying to work the inside. Brown not giving it up yet. He's making it hard to get around him, as well he should. Blake Brown doing a fine job in that 3rd spot as the 2 front guys start to just slowly edge away just a little bit, and that's fine with them. Hermiller and Robbins comfortable at this moment.
3rd place still Blake Brown. Running 4th is Bush. Bush continues to work the bottom. A different lane that 71 car Brown is running. Back in the field, CRA regular Jay Niewick starting to backpedal.
Niewick getting a tap off at turn number 2 as Jordan Dalkey moves him up, feeling a sense of urgency as he is not in the show yet. Going to have to make a charge. Probably need a caution at him at this point in the race as it's beginning to wind down.
Yeah, 10 laps complete, 5 to go to be 4 laps remaining for the Walker, Michigan driver Brandon Hermiller leading the field. Robbins 2nd. The battle for 3rd continues between Brown and Bush. Running 5th, the 23 of Kozlek.
Bush trying to hang that 00 down on the yellow line around this 7/16 mile oval. Bush trying to get around Brown. Brown just a half a car length up off the bottom side as they work off at turn number 4 again. Brown continues to have the edge.
Caleb Basaki, who spun on the first lap, has moved his way slowly up a few spots, but really track position very important here in the last chance, especially with the quicker guys starting at the front.
Yeah, great pace being set here. Hermiller about 10 car lengths out in front of Hunter Robbins, who holds the 2nd spot. Then it's about 15 back to Blake Brown, who still has a hard battle on his hands. Joe Bush a many-time track champion here at the Berlin Raceway, has his nose to the inside.
White flag in the air this time. Final circuit for the last chance race. 2 positions, 2 drivers going into the Rowdy 251 presented by Kaisersport City Racing. The battle for third might take a change of position as the 00 Busch works forward, but they're going to run out of time to get to second. It will be Brandon Hermiller bringing the field to the line. He and Hunter Robbins transfer to the Rowdy 251.
The Walker, Michigan driver takes the checkered flag. Youngster, HS Dye, Vizzy TST, River Hills Mod, Chevrolet out of the HS Dye Motorsports camp will be your first transfer position, and Hunter Robbins, who started at the outside. The first 2 starters, your front row, the Montgomery, Alabama driver, Veterans Oil, Hedman Headers, and JRC will be your 2 transfer cars into the Rowdy 251 presented by Kaisersport City Racing.
1 to go signal has been given. The 7 of Ryan Ham, the 88 of Matt Bainbridge starting up front. Ready for racing action. The USA Modified 50 laps of green scheduled tonight before the Rowdy 251. Green flag out of 4.
Side by side, all the way back. Green flag, as you said, and Ryan Ham will make the clear off at turn number 4, and he will be your leader, checking out by 2 car lengths. Bainbridge now single file. Also slipping in is Brian Nestor. The front 3 are single file.
Moving to the inside and picking up the number 4 spot and starting to challenge already this season with 2 wins here at Berlin. That's Dave Lake in the 97. Lake in 4th and running 5th. The 222 of Chris Meiskens. He drops in line as well.
Meiskens got his eyes set on the racing awareness machine. Dave Lake, though, one of the top competitors here at Berlin Raceway. Mike Bursley drove that car 1 year ago. Several feature wins in the Perfect Circle race cars machine. And Dave Lake following suit, and he's got his sights set on the top 3.
Battle for the number 8 position. The 80 running the bottom line. That's that beautifully painted car that you mentioned earlier, Kurt Filkins. And on his high side, the 99 with 1 win this season, Jordan Dahlke starting to make his move forward.
Dahlke running a double duty here tonight in the 37 car. Didn't get it qualified into the Rowdy 251, so he's going to try and get himself redeemed here a little bit. He's working to the outside. Still good battle there further back in the field in the 99 car.
Right in front of them, working his way forward. Quickest in practice, quickest in qualifying, Billy Shotko, the number 22. Keep your eyes on that 22. Billy Shotko has been the class of the field so far this midweek show, and he might make his way into the top 5 very shortly.
A lot of guys making the charge with the inversion, shakes up the field a bit. One guy that's doing that, it's Dave Lake underneath Brian Nestor. He will clear him off at turn number 4 and move his car into the 3rd position.
We saw that car that Lake is driving pick up a win during this Rowdy show a year ago with a NASCAR star behind the wheel. AJ Allmendinger put that car through the field and really dominated his way to a victory, as we've got one off the pace in 2.
1 car off the pace. We'll see if the caution gets picked up here, as it looks like he might stop, and indeed the caution will fly. Stopped over off the back straightaway, as he will keep things safely on the high side there, and caution will fly here.
Caution out for the number 20 of Lindsay Katz. Katz is slowed. She gets moving again. It looks like she'll head to the pits. Feature at Kalamazoo Speedway. He's also the Kalamazoo Speedway point leader. He runs in the 2nd spot. The Berlin Raceway point leader. Dave Lake running in the 3rd spot. Brian Nestor, USA Modified, 3-time winner this season, runs 4th and running 5th. The 222 of Meiskens back to green.
Ham gets a great jump. 3 car lengths out in front of Matt Bainbridge as he'll check out. Begin as the field.
Trouble, nearly trouble. Able to save it from going into the wall in turn number 1. The 8 car of Billy Eppink, very close to getting up into the wall, but kept rolling. Under green still.
Ryan Ham continues to lead him. 2 car lengths out in front of Matt Bainbridge. Dave Lake split back a little bit here on the start. Under pressure from Brian Nestor. It'll be interesting to see if Lake's car set up maybe for the longer run here, as Nestor starting to come back after he got just prior to the caution.
Billy Shotko is driving a rocket ship. He's just moved into the top 5 via the outside lane. That 22 car is on a rail. He's going to set his sights on 3-time USA Modified feature winner already this season, Brian Nestor. Nestor's 4th place position in jeopardy.
He will drive to the high side, something you don't see in these modifieds often, running a treaded tire with the USA Modifieds and with authority to the high side, and he will drive past him down the back straightaway, move him into the 4th spot.
Dave Lake in the 3rd spot, next on the list for Billy Shotko. The top qualifiers already picked up 5 positions during the early stages of today's race. We've completed 9 of the scheduled 50 for the USA Modifieds. Leading is Ryan Ham. Second place, Matt Bainbridge. Third, Dave Lake. Fourth, Billy Shotko continues to reel in the top three.
Wheel-to-wheel, Jordan Dahlke continuing to pick up spots in his Big Show Motorsports car, trying to work to the inside of Chris Meiskens. Meiskens, though, not making it easy as he's also working on the number 6 car. Down the back straightaway they go again here as they start to single file as Dahlke continuing now to move up underneath Brian Nestor.
Brian Nestor doesn't look like he's going to be on his way to win number 4 already this early season for USA Modified action. Jordan Dahlke has picked up the number 5 spot. Dahlke started 8th. He moves forward. Good USA Modified race so far. A lot of passing taking place inside and outside.
Bainbridge starting to reel in Ryan Ham. Just a car length separates them, not even as they cross the stripe here again. Ham about a half a car length off to the inside. Bainbridge on a rail on the yellow line down to the inside as he now sticks the nose, trying to peek underneath in 3.
Kalamazoo Speedway point leader Matt Bainbridge running the low side. Ham has moved his car up the banking, maybe trying to adjust his line for the setup of the car. We've completed lap number 13 now, and Bainbridge putting up a pretty stellar challenge to Ryan Ham. Also, you look back to third. Guess who's there? Ready to take that third spot from Lake is Billy Shotko.
Billy Shotko, Dave Lake in between them there. Those two beginning to reel in your front two of Ham and Bainbridge. So Lake and Shotko, who we've talked about, on a rail, on a mission here, driving on the high side, the back end hanging out, and he's making it work thus far up to the 4th spot.
Matt Bainbridge running low. It's a 4-car breakaway at the front of the pack, and driving to the high side of Dave Lake is Shotko, and Lake protects the position off of 4, goes all the way up to the wall as Shotko continues to run a groove higher.
Shotko trying to make the high side work where most of the drivers aren't running, and if they're not there, you can have it wide open and drive it around him as he will take it to the high side, and we'll see if he can make it stick off at turn number 4. Lake will slam the door of the Helen of Voss Children's Hospital Modified, now looking underneath Matt Bainbridge for second.
Second, third, and fourth. Now the 5th place car. Jordan Dahlke, who tried to qualify in both races, didn't have much success in CRA qualifying. He is in the top 5, and he's caught the lead pack. 5 cars with a chance to win this one at the front of the field. Shotko's got to watch as the 97 of Lake continues to come high off of 4 that he doesn't get a wheel knocked off.
Yeah, these guys racing hard here. 17 laps in the books, and Adam, it's going to be interesting here starting to catch some of the lap cars, or what will be lap machines here. 3 of them running a little bit further back as it's a tremendous battle in contact. Lake slides up right in front of Billy Shotko, and it'll take him into the outside wall. No caution as of yet, but
just as I mentioned a lap ago, he's got to watch, and now he's in the middle of the track, and Shotko's chance, the best car on the racetrack, just got the right side into the outside wall. He pulled up wheel to wheel with the 97 of Lake, and Lake continued to move high. He took him up and squeezed him into the wall, and we've got caution on the track for a second time, and a terrible break for Billy Shotko. He takes a hard left turn into the infield. I mentioned it a lap earlier. I said he's got to watch that Lake doesn't come up and try to close the door and take a wheel off, and that's just about now. It's time for one of those top 4 to step out and say, you know what, I'm going to win this big race tonight. $3,000 going to the winner. It's a big payoff for these drivers.
Very big payoff, and Mike Blackmer doing a great job as the field given the 1 to go sign last time. They're in turn number 4. Ham hard on the gas as he'll lead them across the start-finish line. Checked out a little bit from Matt Bainbridge. 2 car lengths back to Dave Lake, Jordan Dahlke, and Brian Nestor, your top 5.
For the number 6 spot, Brian Bergaker looks to the low side of Chris Meiskens. Meiskens running in 6th. Bergaker in the number 12 car wants it.
Bergaker wants it, trying to get down to the inside as they continue to battle hard. Meiskens, though, able to hold on here thus far as the battle for the lead continues. Adam up front. Bainbridge trying to get his way around. Ham continuing to run just off the bottom of the racetrack. Great battle here thus far. One
thing that Ham is definitely not doing is protecting the bottom. He's giving Bainbridge all the inside that he wants, and he pulls up to the door in the middle of 1 and 2. The momentum in the outside lane, though, carrying Ham back out in front. We'll see if he starts to protect a little more to the bottom as here comes Bainbridge again. Bainbridge drives it deep into turn number 3 as they're side by side behind him as well, but Bainbridge will give him the advantage and your leader at the stripe. Ham, though, using that momentum and the loose condition on the car to drive it to the outside, but he will lose the lead here on lap number 21, put Matt Bainbridge out front. And at the same time, it was like synchronized passing. For the 3rd spot, Jordan Dahlke on the inside has picked up the 3rd position. Maybe the best car on the track. Jordan Dahlke as now he challenges Ham in 1 and 2. And for Dalkey, he likes the bottom lane from what we've seen so far. And Ham runs up a little bit higher, so he's really in jeopardy in that second spot.
Dalkey drops it right on the yellow line and drives it hard off at turn number 4. He's alongside, side by side at the stripe. Dalkey driving up through the field after starting a little bit further back in outside of turn number 4 as he will make the pass and clear Ryan Ham off at Taru.
Ham's dropped back to the 3rd spot. Running 4th is Dave Lake, and running 5th is Brian Nestor. 6th spot, the 222 of Meiskens. Brian Bergaker running behind him. The 7 of second-generation racer Trevor Berry in the 8th spot. Running 9th, the first time we've mentioned the number 6 car, and we are going to be halfway this time. 25 laps in, 25 to go for the leader, Matt Bainbridge.
Brian Bergaker working to the inside of Chris Meiskens. It's been a long time battle, and he will make it successful this time. Just past the halfway mark, put Brian Bergaker out in front of Chris Meiskens, as now Meiskens retaliates a little bit, gets back into the quarter panel of Bergaker, but he'll hold on.
Bergaker's silver, green, and black number 12 car with a bent left rear quarter panel. From the 222 of Meiskens, he wrinkled it up over in turn number 2. They continue on. I don't think he'll get a chance to hit it again. Bergaker starts to pull away back there in that number 6 spot.
Bainbridge, your leader here, 26 laps in the books here. Off at turn number 4 again. Dalkey trying to chase him down. It's about a 4-car length advantage. Dalkey running that bottom side. He's really got a machine hooked up as Dave Lake holds on to the 3rd spot, but he's about 10 car lengths back down the back straightaway. They go again.
He is closing quickly. Entry into the turn big for Jordan Dalkey. He drops a little bit lower than the leader Bainbridge in turn 4. At the line, he's within a car length and a half of the race lead.
Dalkey on the bottom side. Bainbridge hooked up as well, but he'll be on his bumper down the back straightaway. Bainbridge running about a car length down the back straightaway where he's making that work, but Dalkey trying to get to the inside. He can't quite make it stick off at turn number 4 again, and across the stripe, Bainbridge will hold for now.
They continue bumper to bumper up front. It's the 12 car of Bergaker moving now into the top 5. Bergaker went low on the 11 of Nestor. Nestor continues to drop back from his 3rd starting position. Here comes Dalkey to the outside, wheel to wheel, exiting turn 4.
Bainbridge didn't give him the room on the bottom side, so Dalkey said, okay, I'll pass you on the high side, and he's doing just that, side by side, wheel to wheel. Off at turn number 2 this time, and Dalkey will use the momentum to clear Matt Bainbridge as the race back into 3.
Dalkey looking for his first USA Modified win. It would be his 2nd Modified win here at Berlin this season. He led last lap by inches, this lap by a car length. He leads at the line on lap 31.
Jordan Dalkey to the lead, the Middleville, Michigan driver, young driver from Kalamazoo, running with the CRA Super Series part-time. Wanted to run here tonight with a Rowdy 251, didn't get into the show. He's redeeming himself right here. He is your leader with the USA Modifieds.
32 laps in the books for the USA Modified 50 at Berlin Raceway. This is pre-race. Coming up will be the Rowdy 251 for the CRA Super Series, and they are putting on a heck of a show. This USA Modified race has been outstanding. A bunch of passing inside and outside. Taking a look at a quick rundown. Leading Dalkey, 2nd place is Bainbridge. Running 3rd is Lake. Running 4th is Bergaker. Really good run for the 12 car. Running 5th is Ham. Running 6th, the 222 of Meiskens. Running 7th is Nestor. Running 8th, the number 7 car. Back in the field is Barry. Running 9th, the 6 car of Ben Kleiss, and running 10th, the 05. Completing our top 10 in the field. The 05 helped me out a little bit here. Can't even find it on my list. Greg Fullerton.
Yep. He'll run in the 10th spot and doing a great job. Single file through the field is Dalkey beginning to check out a bit as they put a lap car. Travis Stepp, one in the rears, and Dalkey beginning to stretch it out. Dave Lake now feeling a bit anxious as he sees Dalkey run off into the distance, trying to find a way around the 2nd place running Matt Bainbridge as they try and get around Travis Stepp off at turn number 2. Close call there, but looks like Bainbridge will get by, and Lake will follow him through this time as he continues to try and run on the back bumper of the 88 of Bainbridge.
Jordan Dalkey, a driver doing double duty this week. More good news for him. He will at least get to start the CRA race. They've extended the field to 32 starters, and we'll get into more of that at the conclusion of our USA Modified 50-lap feature. But Dalkey will be starting from the 29th position in the Rowdy 251 tonight. He currently has a straightaway lead on Bainbridge, who's challenged by Dave Lake.
Lake trying to work the high side. Bainbridge making the bottom side work for his 88 black machine. Off at turn number 4 they come. Lake trying to work the high side in the RacingAwareness.com Modified. He'll continue to try and do so off of turn number 2, but Bainbridge able so far to hold on.
Yeah, Lake now running the outside. We saw earlier in the race Shotko pull up alongside Lake. Lake went up the banking. They made contact, and Shotko got into the wall. Now it's Lake trying to work the high side, trying to work the bottom, whatever he can do to move into the second spot. Going down a circuit to the leader, Jordan Dahlke, is that 20 car that slowed earlier for a caution, Lindsey Katz.
Continuing to run here to Lake, trying to work the backside as we have 10 laps to go here at the stripe. Jordan Dahlke is your leader by a wide margin. Matt Bainbridge continues to hold second with Jordan Dahlke. Brian Bergaker and Chris Meiskin's your top 5.
Brian Bergaker could easily pick up a runner-up finish. He's pulled to within 3 car lengths. I think he may be the quickest car on the track other than Dahlke right now. We really can't compare those two as they're so far apart at this point. But the 12 of Bergaker started on the outside of row number 5 in the 10th position, and he is now working from the number 4 spot, and he's reeled in the second and third place cars of Bainbridge and Dave Lake.
Nose to tail as they race into turn number 3. Bainbridge still holding on, running kind of a defensive line. It's working for him thus far here as we're closing down on the end of the race. Bainbridge, your second place runner, now underneath Dave Lake. It is the 12 car of Brian Bergaker, but Lake will pinch him down, trying to get to the inside of the 88 car in 3.
97 of Lake has been pretty wide during this USA Mod feature. Now he goes to the high side. He knows he has to go. He goes to the outside of Bainbridge. Bainbridge did give him a little bit of room, but I thought that he was going to pinch him up. And at the last moment, he gave him room right at the line, and that's going to move Dave Lake up into the second spot. A good run for the 97 now.
Lake will clear him as they race back into turn number 3. A couple of lap cars will be in front of him, but Lake will check out by a car length. Is now Brian Bergaker going to try and find his way around the 88 car of Matt Bainbridge, now over in turn number 2 as we're closing down on this finish here as Jordan Dahlke checked out in command here tonight.
Dahlke rolling off of turn 4 across the line, sees the 5 to go signal from the flagman. 5 laps remaining for Jordan Dahlke. He leads by a big margin over Dave Lake, who is mired in traffic. He's just working around now the 72 car on the back straightaway of Dan Logan. And next on his list, the lady driving the number 20 car, Lindsey Katz.
About a straightaway distance, the lead from first to second. Jordan Dahlke, very comfortable margin as he continues to click off laps here. Just a couple more to go as Dave Lake going to try and reel him in, but not going to run, or not going to have enough time.
46 complete. At the stripe was 47 for Jordan Dahlke. Way out front, Dave Lake running in the second spot. Trying to take third away is Bergaker from Bainbridge on the outside, but I think Bergaker might get caught behind the Logan. Slower traffic ahead. We'll see how they work it in 3.
Logan up a groove. He'll give Bainbridge the low line. Is now good battle for that spot as Meiskens will loop it around, and caution flies here with just a couple laps to go. And oh boy, Jordan Dahlke, his heart just sunk.
Yeah, he didn't want to see a caution. A huge lead build up for the 99. I think he's still fast enough to hold him off, but anything can happen on a restart. Bring a lot of different scenarios in hand, and Dahlke will now have Dave Lake right with him for a restart.
Coming back to the green flag here, Dahlke will set the pace as he'll climb in the gas over in 4.
Jordan Dahlke, Dave Lake, and Brian Bergaker does get that third spot back under caution. They decided to give him the third position. In the 4th spot is Bainbridge. We're back underway. 2-car length lead for Dahlke down the backstretch.
Dahlke gets a great run down the back straightaway. Lake trying to work his way on the bottom side. Single file, though, he's clear by 2 car lengths. Dahlke just a couple more laps to go to hold on to this thing. Lake also clear by 2 back to Brian Bergaker, who's under fire from Matt Bainbridge.
Bainbridge gets a run to the high side, and Bergaker gives him some room. You mentioned some of the guys have spotters. It looked like Bergaker's spotter said, hey, you've got a driver high, give him some room. He drops to the bottom. He'll fall. Oh, no. Then they make contact on the front stretch, continue on. Bergaker trying to hang on to third, and Bainbridge fights back to the high side on the final circuit.
White flag given last time by Jordan Dahlke out front comfortably. He sees the checkered flag in the air, and he will be your winner tonight in the USA Modified 50-lap event. $3,000 to the Big Show Promotions team. Dave Lake will bring his 97 car home in the second spot. Matt Bainbridge will come home in third, having a successful pass on Bergaker there at the end of the race. Bergaker 4th, and Ryan Ham holds on for a top 5 finish.
Brian Nestor, who had won 3 USA Modified events coming in, he really dropped a lot early, but he ends up settling into the 6th spot, comes home in the 6th position. Trevor Berry, decent run for the second-generation racer. He finishes in the 7th spot. Greg Fullerton 8th. Epping 9th in the 8, and rounding it out, the number 6 ride of Ben Kleiss. USA Modified 50-lap feature in the books, and picking up the big victory tonight at Berlin Raceway, $3,000. And he didn't do it the easy way. He started from the 8th position, worked his way forward, and picked up about a mid-race pass and went on to the victory. Jordan Dahlke.
Dahlke, great job there. Going to go to victory lane, and as he rolls up into Sundrop victory lane down there, and we'll be racing here once again as we're going to go down to Duke, Matt Kentfield, who's down right in the celebration in Sundrop victory lane.
Jordan Dahlke pulls into victory lane. His race team was just busy getting their super late model ready for 251 laps in just a couple of minutes. They hustled right on over here to congratulate their young driver, who is grinning from ear to ear. Full-faced helmet hides a lot of facial expressions, but not this kid's smile right here in victory lane, ladies and gentlemen. Jordan Dahlke getting all kinds of congratulations here. About ready to climb out of the 99 ride. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Jordan Dahlke. Jordan, congratulations on a victory here tonight. You were cruising. You had the field covered. Caution flag comes out with 3 laps to go. What went through your mind? Do you think you had enough to hang on tonight?
I wasn't sure, but I knew we were moving pretty good, so it did make me a little nervous, but you can't let that stop you. So.
Now, your work is only half over tonight. I know it's not the way you wanted to get into the Rowdy 251 tonight, but you're in the show. What do you think you got? Did you make some changes to get faster in the race tonight?
Yeah, we've been struggling a little bit with that car, but we've been making changes, and it ain't the way we wanted to get in, but we got in, so we'll make it the best we can and go from there.
Already with 1 win tonight, going for 2 in a couple of minutes. Guys, Jordan Dahlke in victory lane for the USA Modifieds.
Oh boy, racing action just about set to begin. 2 to go signal is in the air.
Got 2 laps to green, but we're going down to Mac Duke Kentfield, who's on pit road.
2-time defending CRA Super Series champion Johnny Van Dorn in the Port City Race Cars house car number 61. Guys, he's been feeling extremely under the weather all week long. He was very happy that it rained out last night so he could get a good night's rest, but I tried talking to him just before he strapped in, and he sounded terrible. He is losing his voice. He's not feeling well at all, but he's starting fourth. So you got to think he's feeling a little bit better knowing he's starting up front, but it's going to be a long 250 laps for Johnny Van Dorn.
I don't know what him and Matt's been doing lately, but I think Duke's been sick and losing his voice, so maybe he went over and coughed on Johnny or something.
Oh, it's been some rough weather here at Berlin. We want to thank all the fans for coming out to brave the elements that we've had here the last couple of days. A lot of thunder, a lot of lightning. It's all gone. The only thunder we're going to hear now is the roar of the engines as the pace car dips on off. We're getting set to go here in the Rowdy 251.
32 cars in the starting field, 16 rows of 2. Tim Steele from Coopersville, Brian Campbell from Wyoming, ready for green. Turn number 4, Berlin Raceway, the Rowdy 251, presented by Kaiser's Port City Racing is underway.
Brian Campbell gets a good hole shot down into the turn 1 from the outside lane. Looks like he's going to be the early leader, just like last year. Clean and green as Tim Steele drops back. Van Dorn fires into second.
Steele having a hard time getting his car up to speed. He does now. He drops in third. 11 car, 111 of Peter Cozzolino, who was top qualifier for a long time in time trials this afternoon, was bumped to the second spot by Kyle Busch. He's running in the 4th spot.
Now Johnny Van Dorn, despite the illness, is going for the lead. The 61 drops low on Brian Campbell out of turn 4. Here comes Van Dorn. He'll have the lead here on lap 2.
JVD a little bit sideways coming off of turn 4 to the stripe as he tries to make a statement early. 2-time CRA Super Series late model point champion Johnny Van Dorn in the lead. Campbell second, third is Steele, 4th Cozzolino, 5th is Van Heitzmar.
Van Dorn knows this is a long race. He has not finished a CRA Super Series race, but he has gone to victory lane in this car here at Berlin this season. He would like to repeat that tonight as he checks out on Brian Campbell.
Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney side by side entering turn number 3. Blaney in 6th, Busch in 7th. Change those 2 positions. Busch is up to 6th.
Just a matter of time. It seems like for Kyle Busch that car's awful smooth after taking the pole position here as he closes up on the 121 of Van Heitzman down the backstretch.
In qualifying today, Tim Steele blew a head gasket in the 44 car. They had to make a head gasket change. They pulled the head, put a new head gasket on there. During the autograph session, he made sure with Chief Chief Series Director Glenn Luckett that was going to be okay to do that. Missed the autograph session. Car seems to be running okay in third right now as Busch has picked up another spot.
The driver who dominated the early part of this race is already up to 16th after starting 18th. That's the 9 of Chase Elliott. We're going to watch his progress as he marches forward. This is the first time he's been in a late model in a couple of weeks. Of course, we all talk about Kyle Busch. It's been several months, but he doesn't seem like he's missed a beat at all.
No, and Busch's late model, beautiful new paint scheme with that new sponsor on the side, Flexco. I really like the looks of that car. A sharp racer with a wrap down the side.
You know, one guy who doesn't like the looks of that race car is Peter Cozzolino. He looks in his rearview mirror. He sees the 51 of Rowdy Busch trying to move into the top 5 here. Comes down into 3 and 4. He'll roll it on throttle and try to see what he can do down in 1.
The Cozzolino Motorsports McDonald's car number 111 in jeopardy of losing that 4th spot. He's right behind Steele. Here comes Busch to the bottom, exiting turn 2. Kyle Busch to the inside of Cozzolino.
Move the 51 car of Kyle Busch into the 4th spot if he can clear up off the corner. Cozzolino ain't going to let him have it easy, but the 51 rockets into the spot. Now he's all over the 3rd spot of Tim Steele. Looking for 3rd. Will he get it down the backstretch?
There's not a driver in this field that's running a lower lane around Berlin Raceway than the number 51 of Kyle Busch. He moves into the 3rd spot. Earlier today when they were drying the track, Busch had a Ford Focus out there helping dry the track. He was down on the apron all the way around the track. I'm thinking, what's he doing down there trying to dry that? That's his lane that he's running right now.
Rowdy got his revenge here last year. Kyle Busch goes to the 3rd spot as they come out of 3 and 4. Johnny Van Dorn is the leader. Brian Campbell followed closely by Kyle Busch, who's erasing the gap here early.
Trying to see where Chase Elliott is. He started deep in the field after a subpar qualifying effort for the youngster from Dawsonville, Georgia. Elliott working the high side of the Canadian driver Cole Powell. He picks up a spot pretty deep in the field. He's racing back there with a couple of the 4 cars. Eric Jones in the 41 and Derek Griffin in the 4.
Back behind Kyle Busch there, just outside the top 5, is the 5 car. That number's very similar. That's Brian Eichler. He told me he's never seen a place like this Berlin Raceway. This place is awful tricky. He's learning the ropes here, running in the top 10 here early on in this event.
That's like A.J. Allmendinger when he made his first appearance here last year at a modified. He was in the infield tower. He was top qualifier. He said, but why didn't you guys put a straightaway here? Well, it's a huge track. It's really a nice size track, but it's always turning left. Handling so important here at Berlin as Cozzolino and Steele battle for the 4th spot.
And the battle for second is going to start to heat up here. Brian Campbell taking the middle groove there, but the 51 of Kyle Busch drops right to the bottom, is able to close to the back bumper as they go 3 and 4. Coming back to the line, 15 will be in the books as Kyle Busch is starting to sniff the top 2.
Brian Campbell and Kyle Busch closing on Johnny Van Dorn. Van Dorn mired with huge bad luck early on this 2011 season in CRA points races. This a non-points event for CRA. Van Dorn showing up with a different car, different paint scheme. He's running well so far in the lead, but Campbell, Busch are closing. Running 4th is Cozzolino, 5th, the 44 car of Steele. He was the pole sitter of the race, his 7th fast in qualifying. Right now trying to hang on to a top 5, but Van Heidsma ready to make a move.
Back in the pack there, Chase Elliott outside the top 10, starting to close up there on Boris Jurkovic. Those 2 drivers were top 5 contenders here last year. Elliott led a lot of the early part of the race, and one driver, and fellow Georgia driver, Bubba Pollard, told me, you watch the 9 car. He'll be there by the end of the night. Elliott running the K&N Pro Series East this year, getting his feet wet in the heavy-set cars, but he loves these late models. 13 wins a year ago, including the Winchester 400.
Brian Eichler started 12th. He just picked up the number 6 spot with a pass on the low side of Van Heidsma. Eichler might be the quickest car on the track. He's the biggest mover so far. Brian Eichler, the driver from California in car 5.
Eichler making it work up there. He's done a lot in the short track ranks. Had a real good run in the Truck Series a couple of weeks ago at the Texas Motor Speedway with a KBM operation. He would love to beat his teammate here and get some bragging rights here to win the Rowdy 251. I don't think the boss man would be too happy.
Well, he would probably rather be beat by him than by someone else in the field, but I think the 51 would be his number 1 priority to get to victory lane. We have completed 20 laps early on of the Rowdy's 251 from Berlin Raceway. The CRA Super Series race in front of a nearly packed grandstand despite terrible weather yesterday, a bad forecast for today, but they have shown up in droves to watch today's race. Can you imagine if we would have had nice weather, how many would be here?
Oh, this place would be packed. You'd have to be fighting people away to get a good spot to watch this one. Hopefully next year the weather will be perfect and we can get more cars here. Still 40 cars answering the call. That's pretty impressive for a great summertime event up here in Michigan.
Johnny Van Dorn had the 20 of Campbell, had the 51 of Bush closely in his mirror in those second and third positions. But now as we watch, he's put another 5 car lengths on second and third. So maybe Van Dorn starting to settle in a bit again, and Campbell and the 51 of Bush starting to fall back. We've yet to have a caution. We've completed nearly 25 laps in this first half of the race tonight.
Lurking outside the top 10, that's the 21 car in turn 3. Johnny Benson trying to make things work. Gotta love that retro paint scheme throw back there as he comes underneath the flag stand. Just a matter of time. He's going to crack the top 10 because you can see cars drifting up and starting to have the handling go away here as we begin to put laps on these tires. 125 laps they're going to have to go on the first set, and maybe that much on the second set. We'll have to see if they opt for those extra tires late in the race.
A lot of traffic, a lot of side-by-side passing mid-pack. And now the 61 of race leader Johnny Van Dorn closes on slower traffic. 29 car of Alan Carnes making it through a south. Points provisional from CRA, moves over to the inside, points to the leader, Johnny Van Dorn to the high side, and Van Dorn continues to extend his lead now. Where I thought Campbell and Bush were going to go scooting by a little while ago, Van Dorn has turned up the wick.
Maybe they're just kind of laying back here as Alan Carnes begins to lose some laps. It looks like he might actually be coming to pit road. Carnes was just happy to make the race. Long trip up here for the super late model competitor. He's got his hands out the window, so there's a problem there with Alan Carnes, but still good to see the Georgia driver to come up here and make the start as he turns in turn 1. The entrance to pit road here is in turns 1 and 2, and it turns back up the middle for those listening on radio back home. And the exit to the pits is actually in 3 and 4. You come out and kind of loop out down on the apron.
Bass backwards of what we normally have at most racetracks, no doubt.
A little tricky, and we're going to see a lot of fireworks when they come in for pit stops later on here. 28 laps complete in the Rowdy 251. You're listening to the live coverage here on Speed 51 Radio.
You know, you watch this race go around the track, and this is one of those stages where you really have to pay close attention to find your leader because there's not an open spot on the track anywhere. It's cars spread all the way around Berlin Raceway. Lap number 30 going on the board this time by. And in heavy traffic, Johnny Van Dorn closing on Caleb Bisaki, Blake Brown, and Joey Miller in the 115.
Johnny Van Dorn has had horrible luck this season. I mean, can we even describe what we've seen out of that 61 car? Two-time defending CRA champ. I mean, you couldn't write it any worse than what we've seen out of him this year.
And it's a tale of 2 seasons for the top 2. The 61 of Van Dorn, terrible luck, nothing going right. And for Brian Campbell, he's had a great start to 2011. Picked up a couple of CRA wins, was really competitive, and probably was on his way to another win at Columbus Motor Speedway when he had transmission issues. But going back to the front, the leader Van Dorn in heavy traffic. Bisaki moves over to the low side. He's in a battle with the 71 of Blake Brown.
They're beginning to mix it up there right in front of the leader. Back behind them, the 2 former winners in this event going at it. Peter Cozzolino working the lap traffic. He's really starting to get that 111 car rolling, as is the 44 of Tim Steele. So you can almost throw a blanket over the top 6 or 7 cars here as we work lap 33.
This is a scary part for the number 61 of Van Dorn. He goes to the high side of these slower cars. He's hoping that their spotters are on the radio saying, hey, stay low, you got a leader coming high. You hope they work with you. You would expect Joey Miller will in the 115, but will any of those guys try to hold on to the lead lap status and give him a race? So far, they moved over nicely to the inside lane.
Turned out to be a beautiful evening here in Marne, Michigan. Just a little windy, got some jackets on out there, but we like dry weather, especially when we go racing here at Berlin Raceway. A lot of action coming up off turn 4. Boy, is it tight here.
Yeah, officially now we are summertime. What, yesterday I think was summer, the start of summer?
Yeah, yesterday was the first day of summer.
And this is one of the coolest days we've had for a while. It really cooled down this afternoon. People in jackets, people in sweatshirts and hoodies in the stands enjoying this one. The drivers love it though. This is comfortable racing weather for the competitors.
Feels like New England fall weather out there tonight here in Michigan. Basically almost up on the right off of Lake Michigan here, probably about 20 miles from the water here, getting to watch a great race as there's a lot of sunlight out here. We'll probably be sunlight well past 9 o'clock as we approach 10 o'clock here. Lights are on here as the cars continue to work around the speedway.
Johnny Van Dorn leads by 15 car lengths over Brian Campbell. Another car length back to the 51 of Kyle Busch. Running 4th, Peter Cozzolino in the 111. Running 5th, Tim Steele starting to pick up the pace a bit. He stayed with Cozzolino now in the 5th spot. Running 6th, the 5 of Eichler. Running 7th is Van Heitzma. 8th is Blaney. Running in the number 9 position, the 05 car, being driven today by Alec Carl. He started in the 5th spot, and running in the 10th position is Tom Thomas in the number 82.
Car's going down a lap now, the 125 of Cole Powell, the Canadian driver. having a little trouble with the handling now. And Brandon Vermiller, who actually won the last chance race in the 6 car, he would be the next car to go down. And the guy who won the USA Modified race is right in front of them there, Jordan Dockey, looking to stay on the lead lap here as we work lap 40.
Vermiller moving over to the low side, entering turn 1. Van Dorn going high. Boy, just a big wad of cars. 4th and 5th, 6th and 7th, all in a battle. Blaney in the 8th spot, closes on them. They work around Joey Miller and Blake Brown, but it just looks like we've got a few groups of cars where accidents are waiting to happen, but boy, there's been a lot of give and take early. Last year we finished 18 cars on the lead lap, and right now, a lot of drivers still in competition on that lead pace.
Last time we saw Kyle Busch in a CRA race, I believe, was at the Red Bud last year, was leading the event, and it was lap cars that ended his night. So they're going to tiptoe through these lap cars, make sure everybody gets clean and green, and 2nd and 3rd now get clear. But now the gap up to Johnny Van Dorn starting to shrink a little bit. Brian Campbell still running 2nd, and Kyle Busch locked in 3rd. 42
laps into the books. Leading the number 61 of Van Dorn, closing on the USA Modified. Feature winner tonight, Jordan Dahlke. Dahlke running the bottom. Van Dorn's yet to be able to get around him. He still holds a 12-car length advantage on the 20-car, Brian Campbell. Busch got up to 3rd pretty quickly from a 7 starting spot, but when he got up to the quicker cars, his rise to the top slowed down a little bit. I think maybe now just kind of saving equipment, letting things go, maybe going through the motions a bit. Last year, the first half of the race saw Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch put on a whale of a show.
Elliott actually dominated, led the most laps all the way to halfway. Those were the 2 guys that did not come in. Everybody else kind of came in and got tires, including Ross Kenseth, who finished 3rd. But by the time the 25 got there, he basically burned up his stuff. Track position is very important here, but tires feel real good to a good, happy race car. As the front 3 break away, they're continuing to put cars down a lap.
Clear sailing ahead for the race leader, Johnny Van Dorn. He can really extend his lead now if it takes a while for Dahlke to go down a lap to the 2nd place car of Brian Campbell and the 3rd place competitor of Kyle Busch. You look back about a straightaway then to Cozzolino, who's running a bit of a higher lane. He was 2nd quick in qualifying, and Tim Steele in the 44, the pole sitter, who qualified 7th, fell back early, struggled on the opening start, but the car seems to be coming to him a little bit. He runs in 5th.
One car moving up real good and just went into the 9th spot is the 21 of Johnny Benson. He went around the 10 of Ryan Blaney. He's got a handful there in the 10 car in turn 2, but the 21 of Benson slowly starting to work his way forward. I think he's just running consistent times. He's going to continue to pick these guys off. He knows the fast way around here. Just stay steady. Sometimes you have to slow down to go fast.
Eric Jones in the 41 car, the number 12 car of Tim DeVos. They started mid-pack in 14th and 15th or so. They are moving forward a little by little as they follow Benton right out of the top 10. DeVos in the 12 car, one of the former regulars here at the Speedway, and the 41 of Eric Jones. Continuing around the oval, here comes Chase Elliott making a run for the 05 of Alec Carl.
That would move him up into about the 13th spot, but we've not seen a lot of movement out of Chase Elliott. Slow and steady wins the race, it looks like, tonight for the Aaron's Dream Machine number 9 of Elliott coming up out of the corner. He'll get the spot there as he continues to close in on the top 10. Leaders continuing to close in on lap traffic. They got about 2 more, and they'll actually get up to the 08 of Bubba Pollard making the trip from Sonoya, Georgia. Pollard, 8 wins this year in the Deep South. Having a lot of trouble with this racetrack. He said, this is a lot of fun to come up here, but this track is tricky.
That it is. One of the toughest tracks to come to for a first time and be quick right off the trailer. It takes you a while. You look at this track and you think it's a high-speed racetrack. You're going to go out there and just drive her deep into the turn, but actually it's all about handling here. A little bit like Kalamazoo, a track that's its closest neighbor. Joey Miller off the pace, drops to the inside lane, goes down onto the apron. He had gone down a circuit. He's going to make the left-handed turn in 1 and 2 on the pit road.
And from what we've seen, it looks like that's about the 2nd car off the track. Of course, Alan Card's going out earlier, so Miller coming to pit road here as we continue to work laps here. 53 in the books. And this is tough on the guys who wanted the strategy to slowly bop their way to the front, because you're putting a lot of pressure on the tire. Johnny Van Dorn's loving it right now, but he's running up on a wall of cars that he's going to eventually put down. Includes Bubba Pollard, the 18 of Hunter Robbins, the 48 of Seth Mooney, and the 53 of Boris Yurkovic, who was a top 10 car a year ago here, struggling with that machine tonight.
I would say in that 4-car, what looks to be a 4-car dash right ahead of the leader, trying to stay on the lead lap, there is some pretty doggone good talent right there about to go down a lap.
Very good there. And when Van Dorn gets there, he's going to see that they're 2x2 blocking the racetrack, so that lead may evaporate for what Van Dorn's put on here early on. As Hunter Robbins slips to the back of the pack, and now Bubba Power turns up the wick. He looks to the inside of Boris Jurkovic. About the 18th, 19th, 20th spots there for Pollard in the 08, trying to chase down Moody. He will clear the 53 of Jurkovic through 3 and 4. A little finesse there as the leaders close in on these lap cars.
Yeah, Hunter Robbins saying, I got to go. Guys, single out in front of me. I need to get around Jurkovic here. Put some distance between me and the leader. Last car on the lead lap is Joliet, Illinois driver Boris Jurkovic, about a 5-time winner in CRA competition over the years. He moves over for Van Dorn. Van Dorn now next on his list to put down a lap. The number 18 of Hunter Robbins, the 08 of Pollard, and Moody's actually stretched his advantage over those other 3 or 4 cars now. He's safe for the time being.
About 8-9 cars in front of this, as we're looking at doing our math correctly, is the 10 of Ryan Blaney. He was just in the top 10 about 8-9 laps ago. When your car goes south here, it goes south in a hurry.
It does. Blaney struggled in practice yesterday, was deep in the practice charts, picked it up for qualifying. He was running in the top 10 for much of the early part of this race, but now starting to fade on this long green flag run. He qualified in the number 8 position, just missed the invert by 1 spot. Staying green, 60 laps have been completed at lap 126 at the halfway mark of tonight's race. We'll have that break, a 20-minute break for the crews to make adjustments and to give us time for Duke down on pit road to talk to some of the drivers about what they're going to do to the car, how good they are, what they have. I'm sure Kyle Busch, wondering what he really has in that Flexco number 51. He was top qualifier, looked to be the class of the field from practice yesterday, qualifying today. And then in the race early, but really just kind of settling in now in that 51 ride. As he follows Campbell closely, they work around the 53 car of Boris Jurkovic. 62 laps complete. Van Dorn threading the needle 3 wide with a couple of slower cars. Pollard now down a lap.
Next car will go down a lap will be the 48 of Seth Moody as Van Dorn goes to the outside. Back in the pack a little bit there. Gabe Ensing kind of drifts wide a lot. The 20 of Ryan Campbell and Kyle Busch go around there. Actually, Gabe's having some trouble there in the 32. That thing may be a little off the pace in turn 1.
So Van Dorn working the high side, clearing some traffic. He still has kept his 12, 15 car length lead over the 20 car of Brian Campbell. Busch continues to run right along the grass on the infield as he runs the bottom coming off of 4. Looks to the inside of Campbell, side by side with Campbell for the 2nd spot, coming out of 2 as they close on the slower traffic.
There's a wall in front of them there, the 48 of Moody and the 125 of Cole Powell. Kyle Busch will push up the banking there and get around Brian Campbell up out of the corner. What a move there as Cole Powell drops to the apron, and now Kyle Busch is in a 2nd.
And Brian Campbell there says, you know what, I better give him the spot over in turn 4. No need to race right now. It's not going to win him a race on lap 65. Still almost a couple of 100 laps to go in this Rowdy 251, brought to you by Kaisersport City Racing at Berlin Raceway. We've seen a lot of passing. We've seen a lot of cars go down a lap early. Long green flag run to start the race. 66 laps have now been completed. We look to the 10th position, which is Tim DeVos in the number 12. 11th is Jones. 12th is Elliott. Elliott has moved from the 18th spot to 12th. And then we look back through a number of cars. I think Basaki there a lap down. Anthony in the 55. Did he go down a circuit, Chris Anthony?
I'm not sure, but right now what we think about 18th spot is the 10 of Ryan Blaney. He's now down a lap. The next car would be the 14 of Tyler Rohrig. Johnny Van Dorn's putting a hurting on this field, but this could change the strategy later in the race. The less cars, the more opportunities for somebody to come in and take those 2 tires late in the race.
Chris Anthony started in the 25th position. He's running decent right there behind Chase Elliott. I'm thinking he did not go down a lap. He was one of the promoter's options for Mike Blackmer here tonight in this race at Berlin. So we've stayed green for the first 69 laps now. Leading is Johnny Van Dorn, trying to turn his season around, and he's extended his advantage over the 51 car of Kyle Busch. Caleb Basaki, one of the regulars here at the Speedway over the last couple of seasons. Basaki's car number 22, off the pace, left-hand turn. He was down a lap. He goes on to pit road. See if he calls it a night or whether they make an adjustment and come back out.
He's had a real tough season here in the Super Late Model Series. Been last in both events. Trying to shake off the rust there. He's on pit road, as is the 125 of Cole Powell. I think we mentioned that, but he's actually coming back onto the racetrack. The Canadian driver is here as we work lap 71.
Tyler Rohrig, one of the CRA regulars, has dropped to the bottom. He goes down a circuit now to Van Dorn. Van Dorn running strong on the front straightaway. Kyle Busch in second. After he took the spot away from Campbell, he's actually started to reel in the 61 of Van Dorn, and he's left Campbell in his wake. Campbell all by himself other than the lap traffic.
Well, we know Kyle Busch and the KBM Motorsports team, they've got a strategy. They probably got a set number that says, we're going to go hard, we're going to get there, and then maybe we'll go a little bit harder. Or maybe the racetrack's really starting to come to that 51 car, although the 61 looks almost perfect here tonight.
Van Dorn making it happen. He was about a third-place car in all of the practice sessions. He was in qualifying about a fourth-place car, so he's been pretty consistent all week long, and he's making it happen here tonight, but it's still in the first half of the race. The 20-minute break will be the key. Staying on the lead lap, staying toward the front for track position, and then coming out with the right game plan for the second half. Nearly a caution there. Boris Jurkovic out of shape. Slowing down behind him is Blaney, who's down a lap. Jurkovic and Blaney kind of got together. It wasn't anything of Blaney's doing. It was Jurkovic in front of him checking up with a car alongside of him.
Looking back through the pack there as the KBM car of Kyle Busch moves forward toward the lead.
Oh, we're going to have a caution for the first time. Blaney backs it into the wall. Contact from Peter Cozzolino in the 111. We saw Blaney run in the top 10 for a long time early in the race. His car started to fade, and caution number 1, unbelievably, coming at lap number 76. Back to green, coming off of turn number 4. We are underway again here at Berlin. This is our first restart after the first 79 laps or so, and trouble coming off of 2. This is going to pile up about half the field as a parking lot in turn number 2 of super late model race cars. All started, I think, Thomas getting turned around in the 82 by a car behind him, bringing out the original problem, and then everyone else know where to go. Many of the drivers with just minimal damage, but we see Bubba Pollard pretty well damaged. Hunter Robbins has stopped. Cozzolino, the 111.
Eric Jones has damage.
Jones is turned around. 48 of Moody, 37 of Dalkey. They went off the track to avoid. The cars still parked over there with the most severe damage, I think, are the 08 of Pollard, the 111 of Cozzolino, the 6 of Hermiller, the 41 of Jones. The 32 car stopped on the back straightaway, Gabe Ensing. And the 4, big damage to Derek Griffin's number 4 car. The right front wheel locked up as it's on top of his nose piece as he came down the front straightaway.
Johnny Van Dorn, Kyle Busch up front. Van Dorn in the white and red car. Kyle got that mid-green number 51 on the outside. Trying to do his best Rowdy Birds impression here at the Rowdy 251. Can Kyle get a good restart? Adam Mackey with the call.
88 laps complete, closing on the halfway mark. Still a little bit to go, about 126. The caution will come out. First half of the race will be complete. They'll go to the pits and work on the cars. Busch working the high side. Van Dorn on the bottom as they race middle of the backstretch. They go to 3. It's Busch in the Flexco 51 working the outside lane.
Busch tried to really wind it up down there through 2, but he'll fall in line. The 61 of Van Dorn, he'll have the lead. Campbell drops down to the 3rd, and the battle's on for 4th. Looks like it's going to be the 121 of Van Heitzman making that spot as he closes in. But up front, here comes Kyle Busch to the bottom of the racetrack, looking for the lead in 3 and 4. Can't quite pull even, but here they come for the top spot.
Las Vegas, Nevada driver Kyle Busch in second spot as they cross the line by just inches. Van Dorn hangs on to the lead. They're wheel-to-wheel exiting turn number 2. Van Dorn, the advantage. The Coopersville, Michigan driver takes Las Vegas, Nevada driver Kyle Busch. He continues to lead down in 4, and Van Dorn holds him off.
Busch not going to go to the front this time. He actually falls back, looks for a better run into the corner. The 61 will use the high lane to get the momentum, and he'll clear, but Kyle Busch keeps it in the low lane. He wants to send it down into 3 real hard in the 51. Van Dorn washes up a little bit. Will he get the nose underneath them off 4? No. Van Dorn still leads.
Really close to being some contact over in turn number 4 that time by. That single file up in the top 4 spots. Johnny Benson looking to move into the top 5. Benson started 16th. He has worked his way to 6th, and he starts to challenge another veteran driver, Tim Steele, for 5th.
Right behind them in the 9 car, paging Chase Elliott. He's here. He led the first half of this thing last year, but now he's a late comer in the late stages of the first half. 9 car looking real racy as he cracks the top 10 and closes in on Van Dorn. Or rather, Johnny Benson there in the 21.
Yeah, Johnny Benson continues to run along the bottom, much like the Kyle Busch lane around Berlin Raceway. And Benson running right on the apron at certain times on the track, especially when they drop down in turn 4. Benson working low between the 44 car of Steele. about the number of wins between those two veteran drivers?
Oh, they've got a lot of wins and a lot of championships. Steele, multi-time in the ARCA championship, truck championships for Benson, and as well as a nationwide championship way back when some rookie named, or some young guy named Jeff Gordon won the Cup title. He won the nationwide title.
Battle for first, battle for third, battle for fifth, battle for eighth. All kinds of side-by-side racing around Berlin Raceway. One of the more exciting parts of the race goes on. Here comes Van Heitzman for the third spot. Benson back for fifth. Campbell gets turned sideways by Van Heitzman. They continue on. Great job by Campbell to continue on. And now Van Heitzman, I thought, was going to hit him again in 3 and 4, but he checked up at the last moment.
I think he did give him a little bit of touch there. That allows 4th, 5th, and 6th to close in there. All the way up there, Chase Elliott closing it as well. You can throw a blanket over those 5 cars as the front 2 break away. Back behind the Brian Eichler, who made a pit stop. He's back in the top 10, and that car is handling a lot better now.
A car that's not handling well is Derek Griffin's after getting caught up in that last accident. The leaders go around the high side of him on the back stretch, put him a lap down. Leading is Van Dorn. He has Kyle Busch glued to the rear bumper. Lap number 100 complete. The first 100 in the books of the Rowdy 251 at Berlin.
Kyle Busch tried to use the lap car there as the pick. Catch Van Dorn sleeping, not going to happen. We saw Kyle run second place, second fiddle the entire first half of the race pretty much last year. Is he setting Van Dorn up? Is he baiting him with his tires? That 51's been good, but man, Van Dorn has been real good despite what he claims is a loose race car.
Terry Van Heitzman was pretty good a season ago here. Had some problems. I think had a tire go down or something early in the race. He rebounded pretty nicely. Still ran well in the second half. He's good tonight in the first half. 101 complete, and Van Heitzman racing hard with Brian Campbell for third.
Van Heitzman actually ended up 18th after starting on the pole here a year ago. He wants a little bit better finish. The car looking awful racy. Gets underneath the 20 of Brian Campbell. Not enough room there for the third spot. He'll fall back in line and hope to do more in 3 and 4.
Johnny Van Dorn and Kyle Busch both had slowed middle of the back straightaway as they battled for the lead spot. Busch was being patient there, had a chance to dive underneath them, but Van Dorn was out of control, and the last thing Kyle Busch wanted to do was get caught up in an accident with only 103 laps in.
Van Dorn leads by about 2 car lengths over Kyle Busch, who's kind of cooled back a little bit here as we approach the halfway mark. One driver not cooling it is the 9 car, Chase Elliott. He looks low on Johnny Benson for what would be the 6th spot. Chase Elliott trying to make it work in the low lane in that number 9 car. There's a little bit of a run, but Benson makes it work on the high side.
Chase Elliott's pacing himself well. He's about 20 laps away from that break at halfway, and if he's up in the top 5, he might be in the second half of the race what he was last year in the first half of the race. One of the guys to beat, and Chase Elliott, the youngster, pulls up side by side with Johnny Benson, and Van Heitzman tries again for third.
What a unique situation we have here compared to last year. The sun was out, shining in everybody's face when we got to halfway. Now the cloud cover is set in. It's a little bit cooler, actually a lot cooler than last year. As now Kyle Busch shoots underneath the 61 of Van Dorn. Kyle Busch to take the top spot out of turn 4. Van Dorn nearly turns him sideways, but Rowdy's got the lead.
Van Dorn did a little bit more than take the air off of the rear bumper down in 3 and 4. He wiggled him a little bit middle of the corner. Busch, though, will pull away by 2 car lengths over Johnny Van Dorn. For the first time tonight, Kyle Busch leads this race, which is named after him, the Rowdy 251 from Berlin.
And Busch immediately puts 3-4 car lengths on the 61 of Van Dorn, who might just be saying, you know what, go on, we'll race you later. As the 61 slips back, and Kyle Busch really turns up the wick and approaches lap traffic there. In just 2 laps, puts on about 6 or 8 car lengths on the lead.
Busch leads, second Van Dorn, running third by himself. Van Heitzman running 4th, Campbell running 5th is Steele. 6th spot, Chase Elliott, he closes on 4th and 5th. Running 7th is Benson. 8th is Eichler. 9th, Chris Anthony continues to move forward. He's picked up 16 spots tonight. DeVos running in 10th. As we are now 110 laps into the books, and Kyle Busch is closing on a group of 4 cars as Griffin will go another lap down as he fights with that car. They've got 20 minutes to kind of fix the nose piece of that Griffin car, make it better at the break. The nose piece definitely only about 1/4 of it there, and it's made for an ill-handling race car.
He drops in the low lane, allows Kyle Busch to go around on the outside, and Kyle might have a couple more lap cars before we approach that halfway mark. He'll be coming around to lap 112, and you mentioned Chris Anthony coming from the back of the pack. He started up front, was a real good challenger, actually came home with a top 5 in this event 1 year ago, but he wants more this time. He wants to be on the podium. Heck, he'd like to win it, but that's a long way to go from the back, but this race can be won from the back.
He is capable of it. He drove by Brian Eichler in turn number 3 like the number 5 car was parked. He has picked up that spot. He continues forward. He's in the number 8 position. He starts to reel in the veteran, Johnny Benson. Benson runs 7th. 113 laps now complete. Chase Elliott a run now on Tim Steele. A lot of experience between those two drivers, but most of it comes from the 44. Chase has only run the last couple of years in super late competition. He's made a name for himself, including last year when he finished a pretty good second to Kyle Busch in the Rowdy race. And now tonight he would like to get in Berlin Raceway Victory Lane. He's kind of boxed in there by Griffin's car. Griffin goes to the bottom, and Elliott has to drop in line behind Tim Steele. Elliott continues in 6th.
People probably wonder why they're not seeing Elliott's name on speed51.com and in the local racing papers as much as they did last year. Well, he's on the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East, and he's really stepped up into a different talent level. They're getting top 5 finishes and running well each week, but they are not yet going to victory lane. Last year, 13 wins for Chase Elliott, and started the year on fire with 3 wins and 4 starts in late models. I think some people were just happy to see him move up, give somebody else a chance to go to victory lane in the Deep South.
When they made the age change for the East and West Series to allow drivers 15 years of age to compete, I think a lot of the late model ranks said, whew, that's a few more wins we have a chance to get, because Chase Elliott has been dominant, and he just now has moved into the top 5, passing the 44 of Steele in turn number 2. And another thing that a lot of folks maybe don't realize is those cars in K&N East and West, as well as the Pro Cup cars that Elliott did pick up a win in earlier this season, a lot heavier than what you see here in late models. It takes a while to get used to driving them. A big difference in weight.
Well over 3,000 pounds. They're actually closer to the Sprint Cup counterparts.
Trouble in turn number 4. There goes Van Heitzma around. He had to lock up the brakes as he closed on Boris Jurkovic, a slower car. And Van Heitzma, who had a pretty good run going, has spun it down in turn number 4. As he closed quickly, and the closing rate was so much on Jurkovic, he locked him up and tried to come to a stop, and Van Heitzma trouble for the 121. 125 in the books. Kyle Busch, I would think that team's not going to make too many changes. They came on right at the right time. Maybe want to be a little bit stronger early in the run for the second half of the race, but you see folks running on pit road. Drivers getting ready to head pit side for the break. You fans in the stands, a great chance over the next 20 minutes to get yourself some food and get yourself a drink to keep your thirst quenched over the second half of the race. But the first half of the race is complete. 126 laps into the books. 125 laps in the second half. Coming our way, the Rowdy 251 at Berlin Raceway, presented by Kaisersport City Racing. Kyle Busch, race named after him, pulls pit side after a top qualifying effort. Started 7th, ran 3rd for a long time. Then in the final 20 circuits of the first half, he moves up into the lead. He goes to the pits for this 20-minute break. Busch followed by Campbell, followed by Van Dorn, who was in 2nd. Chase Elliott has moved to 4th. And Tim Steele stayed in the top 5 for much of the first half here. Chris Anthony, the driver that has most impressed me in the first half of the race, started 25th. The driver from Walker, Michigan is in 6th. Johnny Benson 7th, running 8th, the number 5 of Eichler. He's kind of had an up and down first half of the race. Running 9th, Tom Thomas, who seems to be maybe okay after that mishap down in turns 1 and 2 that he and Casalino created, and then a number of drivers piled in, and the number 12 of Tim DeVos in the number 10 position. And well, Elgin, we are at that time, that 20-minute break where all of the adjustments are being made. You don't want to over-adjust something, that's for sure.
Kyle Busch went to victory lane last year. Ryan Campbell won this thing the first year 2 years ago. He's waited 364 and a half days to get back to where he is right now. Just could not deal with the fact of losing that race. He's restarting 3rd. How much has it helped that car, all the changes they made here at halfway? Everybody making adjustments. They want to be as good as the 51, but how good is Rowdy here on the restart? Adam Mackey with the call.
126 in, 125 to go. Kyle Busch and Johnny Van Dorn, the field of the green on the front straightaway as our coverage continues here on Speed 51 Radio. Into the lead goes Busch. Van Dorn protecting 2nd with the number 20 of Campbell looking low.
Front 4 gets single file there. Campbell falls into the 3rd spot. The 20 trying to chase down the 61 of Van Dorn, who really closes up to the back bumper of the 51 of Busch. Van Dorn, he's got a pressure. He's to the back bumper of Kyle. He might lay a lay a fender to him as they go up the back straightaway. 61 looking real good as they go into 3. He gets into the back of him a little bit. Busch almost gets a little squirrely up the racetrack.
Car off the back stretch going down through the grass, and I think we'll eventually see a caution for it as Van Dorn has taken over the race lead. But caution coming out for a car over the back straightaway. We'll see if it's able to make its way to the track under power is Chris Kozlik in the 23 car. Kozlik coming back onto the back straightaway. Doesn't look to be a lot of damage. I guess that's one of the benefits, as we talked about, with no wall in the back stretch. You get out of shape. You don't wad up your car, but you do go off. A little off-road racing for the 23 of Chris Kozlik. 133 laps complete. 133 laps complete. Johnny Van Dorn ready to restart on the pole position. Busch now restarting high side, and we're back underway at Berlin. 134 at the line, and Johnny Van Dorn, the race leader, heading to 2.
Port City and Hampke race cars go side by side up the back straightaway, and Van Dorn has the leader.
Side by side in the number 5 position. Here's Chris Anthony trying to move into the top 5 for the first time. Elliott drops to the bottom, and looking high on Elliott is Anthony. Chris Anthony continues his amazing run in this race, and he's going to take 4th from the Dawsonville, Georgia youngster Chase Elliott.
He'll get the run on the high side. Elliott trying to make it work now. He leaves that outside lane open, and here comes another one. It's the 12 of DeVos looking for the spot there as Elliott slipping back.
The outside lane moving forward. The Aaron's Dream Machine, number 9, dropping back on the inside lane. Unfortunate break for Elliott. Maybe his tire's just not up to the inflated pressure yet, but something definitely askew on the number 9 of Elliott. And Tim Steele caught behind him. Johnny Benson drops to the low side, the former Truck Series champion, running on the low lane. And Johnny Benson looking strong in the second half, but he's boxed in by Elliott right now.
Tim Steele goes to the outside of Chase Elliott, looking for the spot there. That would be for 6. Steele making a run on the outside as the 9 car not quite up to speed yet here on the restart, and Steele will take the 6th spot at the line.
So Tim Steele moving the high side now. Here comes the 21 of Benson. Unfortunate break for whatever's going wrong on the number 9 of Chase Elliott. 139 at the line for the number 61 of Johnny Van Dorn. Bad luck all season long. Hasn't really finished hardly any races early on in the season for the CRA Super Series. Tonight he's running stout. Has a 5-car length lead on the Flexco number 51 of Kyle Busch.
Johnny Van Dorn has won a lot of races with CRA and then outlaw late models around this area, but he doesn't have that big marquee win. This would be the big marquee win if he can hold off Kyle Busch and go to victory lane tonight. And being under the weather, I'm sure it would make it extra sweet as he climbs into bed with a little medication tonight and the trophy.
4th position battle for the number 12 car of Tim DeVos. DeVos drops to the low side of Anthony. Couple of locals battle for the number 4 spot. Also Benson, the veteran, racing with another veteran, the 44 of Steele for the 6th position. And it's going to be DeVos in the number 12 car, taking 4th away from Chris Anthony.
They don't have any teenagers up front there. All the old crafty veterans are making the racing going on here tonight at Berlin. A lot of action as DeVos slides up the racetrack. Anthony gets into the back of him just a little bit as they go down the straightaway. Give the spot to the 12 car. He moves to 4th.
Side by side for the number 6 spot. That battle between the longtime Touring Series veterans of Johnny Benson and Tim Steele continues. Steele just hanging on by a thread in the outside lane. Benson, former ASA Truck Series, NASCAR Cup Series competitor Johnny Benson up another spot to 6.
21 car looking awful good through the corners here. The front 3 though have broken away. The 61, Johnny Van Dorn, looks as good as he did early in the race here. Sailing that thing into the corners with a 51 of Kyle Busch right behind him. Brian Campbell waiting to see what's going to happen here. Maybe he's just playing a game of cat and mouse here. We mentioned they've got 2 more tires. Whatever the caution comes out, they can take them anytime they want. Could be 20 to go, could be 100 to go, could be 5 to go. We'll just have to wait and see if those extra 2 right side tires will be available or will be taken tonight for any of these cars on the lead lap.
Painting you a picture of what's going on in the tower. Elgin Statboy trailer with the binoculars in hand. I think he's trying to look into the cockpits of the cars here. If you're at Berlin Raceway, about a half-mile racetrack, you can sit in the stands and see anybody all the way around. Well, you're really trying to get up close and in person.
Looking at the handling, want to see the attitudes of the race car. The 61 of Johnny Van Dorn, real smooth through the corners, as is the 51 and the 20. That's probably why they broke it away. Back in the pack a little bit, we can see cars getting a little twitchy, getting a little sideways in the corner, especially through 3 and 4, which is real tight here at Berlin. Caution on the speedway.
Multi-car car wash coming off of turn number 2. 3 drivers have spun down into the infield grass. Jordan Dahlke, one of those in the number 37. He was a driver that's on the lead lap, and that might not be the case now. Nick Bonstell in the 11, one of the others, and I think there's another one turning around. It is
23 car.
23 car. Chris Kozlik turning around, getting back out onto the asphalt. So 3 drivers that have spun over in turn number 2. 154, make it 155 at the stripe as the green again is in the air, and Johnny Van Dorn scoots into the lead. Kyle Busch stays alongside into turn 1 in the outside lane.
Van Dorn going to hold the spot there as Kyle tries to look to the outside. The 61 pushes up, gets the spot, gets clear, but here comes Kyle back to the bottom there, trying to get a good run on the 61. They're bumper to bumper at the line.
I think he might have returned just a little love tap down in 3 and 4 that we saw Van Dorn give Busch after Busch took the lead earlier in the race. Tim DeVos, I said I didn't know whether he had anything for the 20 of Campbell. I could be wrong. DeVos running the high side down in 3 and 4. The veteran racer trying to get around Campbell, and Campbell closes the door on the front stretch. DeVos spins him toward the wall, into the wall on the front stretch. Cars piling in. Oh, look out. Head-on collision down in the first corner. Not sure who that was.
The 71.
It was Bonstell on the 11.
And the 71 went up over the side of the 5 of Brian Eichler. The 25 of Cole Powell's involved. The 23 of Kozlik's is in the wall. Heavy damage. Lots of cars. Lots of cars wrecked. Matt Duke Kenfield on pit road saw some of that. Matt, what'd you see?
I saw the very tail end of it, but the guy's the car with the very most amount of damage right now. Early front runner, Brian Campbell in the 20 car. He was spun around, hit the wall a ton, and then the 11 car just pile drove him head on in turn 1. Waiting to see, walking that way now. Track crew's talking to both drivers. Both window nets are down, which is the good news, guys. We'll go over there, see if we can catch up with the drivers here in a minute.
Here in the stands, whip out your cell phone and check out speed51.com. Got a great close-up shot of the 11 car coming in on the hook, all mangled up there. And of course, if you're at home, jump over to speed51.com to see the trackside now coverage. You can see what we're talking about.
Ready for green, Van Dorn and Busch bring the field in, and we're back underway at Berlin Raceway. Lap number 158 will be at the line next time around, and this time Busch is strong in the second groove. Busch pulls ahead by half a car length entering turn 3.
Kyle Busch drives it in real deep at 3 and 4, but Johnny Van Dorn has the preferred lane, the inside groove, but Kyle Busch rockets to the lead on the outside. He's going to
we've got big trouble. I thought you saw it over in turn 4. Tim Steele in the 44, Tyler Rohrig in the 14 get caught up. The 08 car of Pollard involved. 37 Dahlke stops to avoid. 32 car also stopping to avoid contact is Ensing. It was a wild pileup. It looked like it was going to be self-cleaning. The track was going to send everybody to the inside, and then Steele lit up the tires, came back up in front of traffic, collecting the 08 car of Bubba Pollard. Bad break for him, and we just mentioned him getting a lucky dog a couple of yellows ago.
Car dips on off. The 51 and 61 will lead the pack to turn 3.
Last year we had 18 cars finish on the lead lap tonight. We've only got 17 running on the track right now. 167 laps in, 168 at the line, and Busch brings the field to green. And we are back underway. Busch and Van Dorn. Van Dorn can drop into line before Benson gets to the inside. He does. Johnny Benson running third. Fourth is Anthony. Elliott and Van Heitzma battle for the number 5 spot. Give it to Van Heitzma. Oh, trouble. Steele goes around in the 44 car up the track, and I think Tyler Rohrig just basically punted him down in turn 4 from what I could see. And now Tim Steele in the 44 car. As we stay under green, unbelievably, Steele did a 360, and we keep this race underway.
And that's good for Johnny Van Dorn because he's all over the back end of the 51 of Kyle Busch, looking for the lead one more time. Nearly gives him a shot through 1 and 2, drips up the banking a little bit. It's a half a car length as they hit turn 3.
First battle on the track is between Brian Eichler and Jordan Dahlke. That's for the number 7 spot. On the inside is Eichler. Eichler racing with Dahlke, and Eichler's going to pick up the 7th position. His next on his list, the 12 of Tim DeVos.
Eichler marching his way back to the front after being involved in that altercation over here with Campbell. Eichler to the bottom of the 12 car, trying to get to the spot. They're battling for the lead.
It changed for the lead, and it might change again. Van Dorn went underneath Busch going into turn 3. Busch ducked back under him on the front stretch, but Van Dorn holds him off in turn 1. And Coopersville, Michigan driver Johnny Van Dorn is back in the lead in the Rowdy 251. 173 complete at the line as the battle for third starts.
Up to the high lane is the 55 of Chris Anthony trying to look over Johnny Benson. He's got that car wound out. He needs a long green flag run, and that 55 will march forward to the front. He's cracked the top 5. He's in the 4th spot. looking to get on the podium.
Most impressive run of the night so far. The 55 of Chris Anthony started 25th after a subpar qualifying effort, was locked in as a promoter's option, and now he's in 4th looking for 3rd, battling with a veteran superstar and Johnny Benson in the 3rd spot. 175 laps in at the line for the leader, Johnny Van Dorn.
Tim Steele comes to pit road in the 44 car. Not sure if they're making some adjustments over there. We'll see if he comes back on the racetrack. Van Dorn, the leader, up the backstretch. 3-4 car lengths over the 51 of Kyle Busch. About 8 or 9 car lengths back to the 21 of Johnny Benson. And then Chris Anthony rounding out the top 4.
Back in the number 6 spot. Watch Tim Steele in the 44. He's starting to pick up the pace. If you're Tyler Rohrig, you got to be careful here, because I think Steele might be out to pay a little back to the 14 car of Rohrig. Rohrig's starting to catch him on the backstretch going into 3. Hopefully nothing takes place. Don't want to see any retaliation here, but Steele is back up to speed. He's going to let Cole Powell go around him here shortly, and the next on the list to go around Steele would be Tyler Rohrig. So I'm sure the spotter's letting Rohrig know he's coming up on the Steele car. Those two made contact. Steele spun, did a 360, kept the race under green, and now those two drivers are about to be side by side again. On the front straightaway, Steele up the track in front of Rohrig. They go down into the turn. Steele runs them all the way up into the 3rd lane, and just as I suspected, Steele was waiting on Tyler Rohrig. Griffin goes to the bottom on the backstretch as they catch Seth Moody, and you wonder why we're talking about drivers that aren't even on the lead lap, a couple of them. Well, it's because retaliation has taken place, and it could be something big happen if Tim Steele elects to take out the 14 car of Griffin or 14 car of Rohrig or the 4 of Griffin.
Now Steele will go to the high lane as Rohrig goes to the bottom there in 3 and 4. This is back off the lead lap. Van Dorn is the leader by 2 car lengths over Busch. Rohrig can't quite get underneath Steele as Steele has come back onto the racetrack after making some quick adjustments there. Was running real strong earlier tonight, now off the lead lap.
Johnny Van Dorn leads by 2 car lengths over Kyle Busch. They have pulled away from the 21 of Benson. Running in the 4th spot is Anthony. Running 5th is Van Heidsma. Those two drivers have made a lot of passes tonight to make it happen, and now Rohrig pulls alongside Steele back in the field as that battle between drivers and a bit of a feud continues. Go down into the 3rd turn. Steele's going to get into his right rear. He goes up the track, and now let's see if Rohrig can pull away from Steele to avoid being turned by the 44, who's still out for revenge.
Well, I think he made his point. Ran him up the racetrack, said he did appreciate whatever happened here earlier. That might be settled for tonight. We'll just have to watch later on. 183 laps in the books here. At some point here, you might think about the guys who are on the track running 6th, 7th, or 8th of taking tires. If we have a caution here, Kyle Busch closing back in on Johnny Van Dorn, as is the 21 of Johnny Benson.
Terry Van Heidsma, Chris Anthony continue their side-by-side battle. The last 5 circuits, they've been side-by-side for the number 4 spot. Van Heidsma on the inside, Anthony on the outside. The 44 of Steele has gone pit side. Tim Steele on the 44 has gone to the pits. We'll see if he calls it tonight. He pulls into his pit stall. The crew looking at the car, not really doing anything frantically. The HS Dive Izzy CAD-CAM car has stopped on pit road. Brian Eichler makes a run at Tim DeVos. That would be for the number 6 position up ahead. Amazing 4th place battle between Van Heidsma and Anthony. Neither driver has been able to take that spot. And I think it's Van Heidsma moving forward now and does close the door on Anthony for 4th.
Now the 61 car, Johnny Van Dorn's really starting to back Kyle Busch up. He's gotten to the back bumper. He wants to go because he knows Johnny Benson's right there and coming. So it might just be a matter of time before Kyle Busch takes the lead back here. Or maybe he's waiting, wants to save his tires for the late stages. 187 laps go on the board. They're coming back to 188.
And Benson is closing rather quickly on that lead duo. Did Benson save enough of his stuff early in this run of the second half of the race to let those two leaders run their tires off? Again, Brian Campbell thought that they were racing pretty hard early in the second half.
Brian Campbell's observations might be exactly what we're talking about. Van Dorn comes back by, leads another lap. He's led the most here tonight as we continue to get closer to the final 50 laps here. And the 21 of Johnny Benson closes in one more time as Kyle Busch has himself a Johnny sandwich out there in 3 and 4.
Johnny Van Dorn running along the bottom. Busch just about a half car length lower in the groove than what the leader is. Busch is really liking that inside lane around Berlin as he has been on the rear bumper of Van Dorn for the last 10 laps or so. Back 6 car lengths, make it 5. Entering turn 3 is Benson. Running 4th is Van Heidsma. Back 3 car lengths to the 5th place car of Anthony. Running in the number 6 spot is DeVos. Running 7th, the number 5 of Eichler. 8th is Elliott. 9th is the 37 car of Dahlke. And 10th is Thomas, 1 lap off the pace.
What a night this would be for Dahlke if he could walk out of here with a modified win in the top 10. As here comes Kyle Busch for the lead in 1.
They went around Peter Cozzolino, and now Busch goes to the low side of Johnny Van Dorn for the lead. 61 of Van Dorn, high side. 51 of Busch, low side. They head into turn 3. Busch dive bombs turn 3. Goes to the lead. Here comes Van Dorn back to the bottom.
Kyle Busch, he'll have the spot and he'll pull away from Van Dorn as here comes Johnny Benson. He'll look high right away there. Couldn't quite get to the back bumper, but the 61 might be a sitting duck. Here comes Benson looking for the second spot.
I'm sure a lot of fans in the stands are thinking right now this race could be over, but Benson, he looks to be pretty strong in that retro paint scheme like we're watching ASA National Tour races some many years ago. But Benson in the 3rd position. Might be next to get around the 61 car of Van Dorn. We'll see how that plays out. Van Heisma looks good in 4th. He's pulled away from Anthony, who runs 5th.
I'll tell you, if we have a caution right now, everybody's coming. Maybe Kyle will stay out, but everybody wants the tires. They want to have a chance to chase down the 51. We'll have to see what happens here as we approach lap 200.
Perfect scenario for the top 5 cars that are all capable of winning. Even DeVos in 6th and Eichler in 7th. If this race stays green for another 20 or 30 laps, put a few more a lap down. You've got 9 cars on the lead lap. Get it down to 6, maybe 5 cars on the lead lap, get a yellow, then you're really not out anything if you come to the pits. You're still going to have pretty good track position.
Kyle Busch out in front here at the Rowdy 251, the 3rd edition of this race here at the Berlin Raceway in Michigan. Trying to take it 2 out of the first couple years of running it. I'll tell you, he didn't like how he ran the first time, and he had to call it the Rowdy's Revenge the next year. This year, it's just the Rowdy.
And again, that shows how hard it is to pick up on this racetrack. It's not just a track you can come to and be quick, like Kyle Busch could be at just about any racetrack in the nation. And he continues to lead. He's closing on the 32 car of Ensing, ready to put him another lap down as lap 200 about to be put on the board. 199 complete for Busch at the line in that beautiful number 51.
Tonight's distance, of course, 251 laps. I think it's the 2nd longest race of the year for the CRA Super Series behind the Winchester 400. And it's been a dandy here tonight in Marne, Michigan. Great crowd on hand to watch this one. Want to thank you for braving the elements that we've had the last couple of days. You wanted to see some racing. We're showing it to you live. And, of course, all across the country and all across the world here on Speed 51 Radio.
And not very often do I get to correct the stat boy, but it's not the 2nd longest race. It'd be probably at least the 3rd because the Redbud 300.
Oh, yes.
Can't forget the Redbud. And we'll be bringing that action live here on Speed 51 later this season as well. Can't wait for that one. Boy, did we have a good race last year. It was the first one that I called with Bob Dillner here on Speed 51, and what a great race it was.
Scott Hance went to victory lane that night. Of course, Scott not here this weekend, or not here this week, prepping for Winchester, where he's the point leader in the CRA Super Series. Opted to sit this one out.
He's looking for his 4th career CRA championship, and I think he's definitely the favorite to do it. He's got some good veteran competitors there with him. One of those, Jeff Lane, led the points until very recently, and then Lane got into the wall at the most recent event in CRA competition. We've completed lap 203. Kyle Busch leading the way, and Derek Griffin moves over to the bottom to allow Busch to go around him again.
Well, Busch went to the high lane and actually kind of lost a little bit of momentum, but now he'll take the high lane around the lap cars that come up off 3 and 4. He'll clear as they come down to the stripe. 204 laps will go into the books here as Kyle Busch driving off into the Michigan night.
Good racing action all night long. Thank goodness Mike Blackmer decided to use today as a rain date. The forecast didn't look good when we looked at it for today, but the rain all built up, most of it to the east of Marne, Michigan, and fortunately it did. We've had a big window on each side of us all evening. After a little bit of rain during practice time this afternoon, things have cleared up. It's a cool day, comfortable conditions, almost like a fall evening, despite it just the start of summer here in Marne.
Kyle Busch turning up the wick, starting to get away from the 61 of Johnny Van Dorn just a little bit. Johnny Benson slipping back a little bit there as the rest of the pack beginning to fade a little bit, single file through the top 6 or 7. Don't see any real hard chargers as Kyle Busch looking good out front.
Well, the 9 team, the Aaron's number 9 of Chase Elliott, missing something on the setup in the second half of the race. Not sure what the problem is. He really paced himself well to get into the top 5 in the first half of the event tonight after starting deep in the field. He started just inside the top 20 after a subpar qualifying effort. Elliott starting 18th had worked into the top 5 by the lap 126 mark, and then Elliott in the second half of the race has really faded. He's still on the lead lap in about the 8th position. He might be one of those drivers that we see if a yellow comes out, he will make a pit stop. Really has nothing to lose with only 9 guys or so on the lead lap. And continuing to lead is Kyle Busch. Busch goes into turn 3. The last car on the lead lap is Jordan Dahlke. He just crossed the line. So Busch is still just about half a track behind the last car on the lead lap. So it's going to be a while before he starts working into lead lap cars again. He has the 14 car of Tyler Rohrig next to go down the circuit, running about 10-15 car lengths ahead of him in turn 3. Elgin Trailer, Adam Mackey on the call of the play-by-play from the Rowdy 251, presented by Kaiser's Port City Racing here at Berlin Raceway. We had nearly 40 CRA Super Series cars here for a non-points race. Drivers from all across the United States making a show, and now Chris Anthony, after a long battle a little while ago for the 4th spot, he fell to 5th. Van Heidsma took it, and now he looks to take it back from Van Heidsma. Side by side on the front straightaway. Anthony on the bottom. Van Heidsma on the high side, and Tim DeVos, and a good run for him in the number 12 car tonight. Running in the 6th position right behind him, waiting for an opening. He might make it a 3-car battle for 4th. Pretty good racing action tonight in all of our competition. Our first race was a 15-lap last chance. Our second one, a USA Modified 50-lap thriller for Keith Beeching, the president of the USA Modifieds. And now CRA Super Series action. Tyler Rohrig in front of Kyle Busch. Rohrig slides up the track, and Busch has to go to the bottom. A scary moment for the leader, Kyle Busch. He's able to get by, and Rohrig, and a close call, nearly got caught up with the leader Busch down the front stretch and into the first turn. Van Dorn next to go around as the flagman pointing Rohrig over to the bottom of the track to let the leaders go by. Van Dorn 10 car lengths back in second. Then about a straightaway back to the 3rd place car of Benson. Running in 4th is Van Heidsma. Anthony running in the 5th spot. Challenge to his inside coming from DeVos in the number 12. Running in 6th right now. And then running in 7th is Chase Elliott. Running in 8th, Jordan Dahlke. Running 9th, Brian Eichler. And he's our final car on the lead lap, Brian Eichler in the number 5. Green flag continues under competition here at Berlin Raceway. We had a huge green flag run to start the race tonight, nearly 80 laps of green, and this our longest green flag run in the second half of the race this evening. And it's allowed Kyle Busch to build up a sizable advantage on the rest of the field. He wouldn't mind if this race went green the rest of the way. It would save him any possible issues on a double file restart. Van Dorn still pretty stout, not losing a lot of ground at this point. Cozzolino running low side. Cole Powell running outside right in front of the leader Busch. He will close quickly. The closing rate on those 2 slower cars is very quick. Powell moves over to the inside. He's the only driver coming from Canada tonight. And Cozzolino, give him a shout out in qualifying. He was second on the time trial charts, and he led the qualifying list for a long time before Kyle Busch was able to take over.
Yeah, he got a little bagged up, and he's been able to ride that car now, but it looks like he's going to lose the lap here in the late stages. He goes to the low lane. Busch goes to the high lane to get around there. Johnny Van Dorn, does he have another push here with 30 laps to go? Well, we'll have to wait and see.
I think Van Dorn at this point could probably pace himself. He would be wise, because then if they do have a yellow, he might have a little bit left for Kyle Busch.
Ooh, got a car. Looks like a flat tire on the 55. Is that Chris Anthony?
Yes,
with a flat
it's Chris
tire
Anthony. He needs a caution bad, and he might be the caution. Right front is down. Right front is down on the 55 car of Anthony. Sparks as he bottoms out down into the first turn. He's going to make the left turn onto pit road, and Chris Anthony's top 5 run is going to come to an end after coming from 25th up into the top 5 and into the top 4 even. Anthony has had to go to the pits. Green continues to be out, and Kyle Busch's lead still sizable. But Van Dorn hasn't given him much ground in the last 10, 20 circuits. He's still within 10 car lengths in 3 and 4.
Tim DeVos will now move into the 5th spot. Chase Elliott will go up to 6th. Jordan Dahlke 7th with Brian Eichler 8th. Working the late stages of the Rowdy 251 here. Kyle out in front. But does Johnny Van Dorn have anything left for him?
If anybody has anything for him, it's Van Dorn. He is really quick. Those 2 drivers that Brian Campbell thought were setting qualifying lap speeds early in the second half still living up to those expectations as they continue with the big advantage over Benson He stayed with him for a little bit when they were battling for first and second when Van Dorn was leading, but he's really faded. He's in a comfortable third. In fourth is Van Heidsma, but a battle for fourth starts down in turn 3. Here comes Tim DeVos to the inside. He's going to be squeezed by the 4 car of Griffin, though, as Griffin goes to the bottom. That might block the 12 car of DeVos in, down in turns 1 and 2.
8th place car Brian Eichler goes down a lap. 7 cars remaining on the lead lap here. We had a caution now. They still got those tires, but we're starting to run out of laps to where you would even be able to gain anything here. 2:27 on the board.
The Coors Light, Fulton Pharmacy, Pioneer Construction, Chevrolet 55 of Chris Anthony after a pit stop has come back onto the raceway. He has changed the right front tire. He's several laps down, but back out on the speedway is Chris Anthony. Busch leads 228 laps in. Cole Powell off the pace in the 125 car. Powell might be making a trip down pit road. He went several laps down early in the race, but has stayed out there in competition, picked up a lot of spots in the process. We stay green. Big green flag run in the second half. It won't match what we saw in the first half with nearly the first 80 laps going caution-free with the whole field out there. Van Dorn caught in some slower traffic as the 5 of Eichler has gone down a lap. And Kyle Busch about ready to put Jordan Dahlke and the 9 of Chase Elliott down laps. Elliott runs in the 6th spot. So if he can get around those two and then a caution would come out, that would be a huge break for the drivers and maybe 4th, 5th. Drivers that could go to the pits and really not lose a lot of track position because they're already back there on the tail end of the lead lap. Still tires available if they want to make a pit stop under yellow as we get to about 20 circuits remaining. 20 laps to go and a side-by-side battle in front of Busch as Elliott goes to the high side of Dahlke. The final 2 cars in the lead lap in a battle for the 6th spot. Dahlke had it at the line, the modified race winner. Boy, he's had a good run tonight. He was an additional starter, and Dahlke has moved nearly into the top 5 with a good run in the second half of the event tonight.
Man, Kyle's really putting it on him there now as we've only got 5 cars on the lead lap. Kyle gets away from the traffic there and sets his sights on the next one.
Boy, Van Heidsma, a good battle with DeVos. They continue to go at it side by side down the front straightaway. DeVos has moved up on the inside. It's a point of the race where I've seen the outside lane just seems to be as strong as the inside lane. In fact, we saw Kyle Busch take a lead on a restart via the outside lane a little while ago. And now we have just 5 cars remaining on the lead lap. Boy, would Van Heidsma, DeVos love to see a yellow here. They could come to the pits and not lose any track position as they're the final 2. Van Heidsma off the track on the backstretch, goes down off of the banking in the grass.
Will he get back on?
He's trying.
Caution.
Caution is out, but that's going to hurt him. He's going to go a lap down. Van Heidsma, man, he needed a yellow, but he did not want to be the yellow. It's going to leave us with 4 on the lead lap before the lucky dog. Trying to see who the lucky dog could possibly be. It's going to be Dahlke. So I think Dahlke in the 37 will be the lucky dog and go into the number 5 position. Should leave us with 5 cars on the lead lap. 2:44 complete, make it 2:45 at the line. It'll be 6 laps remaining, 5 cars on the lead lap. Here we go.
Van Dorn with a good restart down into turn 1, but Kyle Busch gets a good one too. Clears the 61, goes the 51, and that might be all she wrote. Kyle Busch looking awful good down into 3 and 4.
Boy, Van Dorn is bottoming out heavy. He's got a tire going down on the 61 car. Bottoming out heavy, the 61 of Van Dorn. And he gets turned on the front stretch. Oh, look out, up into the turn, up into the wall. A couple of cars go. The 55 of Anthony, the 61 of Van Dorn. As we have a pile up in turn 1, it was Van Dorn off the pace in the 61 as he had, I think, a right front tire going down, and he collects some cars coming down the front stretch. Van Heidsma gets rolling again. Most heavily damaged going to be the 55 of Anthony and the 61 of Johnny Van Dorn. Kyle Busch and Tim DeVos ready to restart this at the front of the Rowdy 251 presented by Kaiser's Port City Racing. The green is back in the air, and we're side by side. DeVos spins the tires, and Busch goes into the lead.
DeVos goes right to the bottom trying to chase down the 51, but Kyle gets away into the Michigan Knight. Here comes Johnny Benson for second up the back straightaway. He's got it. Now he looks to close in on the 51 for the lead.
Wow, did Benson shoot like a rocket out of turn number 2, and he went around the 12 of DeVos quickly. This crowd would go wild if Benson could make it to victory lane. He's within 3 car lengths of Kyle Busch down the backstretch. Benson's exit of turn 2 was about the same as Busch. They go in. Benson drives in a little deeper. Middle of the corner. Busch has the advantage. And it's 2:48 with 3 to go at the line for Kyle Busch in the 51.
Johnny Benson would need to run 3 qualifiers, the best laps he's run all night, to run down the 51 of Kyle Busch, who's walking away with this thing. However, Benson closes in another time here as they come through 3 and 4.
Benson with that tire change on the last caution seems to have really helped him. 2 laps to go. That time by for Kyle Busch in the 51. The chief starter getting the white in hand. Benson has dropped back now to 7 car lengths in the rears of the 51 of Kyle Busch.
It's a distance back to Tim DeVos in the 3rd spot. Kyle Busch takes the white flag here in the Rowdy 251. Going to walk away with this one, it looks like, as Johnny Benson has one desperate attempt on the back straightaway. He's not going to be able to run down the lead as Kyle Busch hits 3 and 4.
Trying to make it 2 years in a row, and it looks like he will. From Las Vegas, Nevada, the Flexco. Busch Foundation Toyota. Kyle Busch the win tonight. 2nd to the 21 of Benson. 3rd to DeVos. 4th place across the line will be the 37 of Jordan Dahlke, as I'll head trackside. Elgin, take it away.
An amazing win here for Kyle Busch, the 51 car going to victory lane for the 2nd time in 3 years here. Johnny Benson gave it a whirl there at the end. They came in and got the tires, but Kyle Busch gets the win here as he comes down to the front stretch here. He wants that checkered flag, and the fans giving him the ovation here. Thank you for coming out to Berlin Raceway tonight. Brave the elements to see this great super late model race. The old 51 of Kyle, you know what he's going to do? He's going to get out and do that bow. That traditional bow that you see on Sunday, Saturday, and Friday nights in the NASCAR ranks. Got over 90 NASCAR wins in his career. And now he's got a 2nd late model win here as he's doing the donuts here on the front straightaway. Rowdy style here at the Berlin Raceway. Next year, we got to put him on the rear, see if he can do it from the back. Kyle's done it 2 years in a row now in his own event here at the Berlin Raceway in Marne, Michigan. Adam Mackey going pit side to help out with our post-race trackside now coverage. And all the coverage here is the fans giving it a ground. How about it for Kyle Busch in the 51, getting the win here tonight? Let him know you can hear it here as he gets out. Kyle Busch with the bow. Thanking you fans for coming out tonight for this one here at the Berlin Raceway. Busch wants that checkered flag. Didn't quite catch it, but still he's going to be waving it as he gets into the 51 car to take it over to victory lane, where Matt Duke Kenfield will be with post-race celebrations here. Johnny Benson comes home 2nd. Tim DeVos gets the 3rd place finish. 4th, Jordan Dahlke, after winning the modified race. Chase Elliott a lap down in 5th. Did not really have the best of nights for himself there, but still Elliott comes out of here with a top 5 finish. Want to thank all the fans for coming out and all the people listening on Speed 51 Radio all across the country and all around the world. I've heard them everywhere there. As Kyle Busch taking the checkered flag, he's going to victory lane, and he'll be talking to our Matt Duke Kenfield in just a matter of moments. Busch doing a little spin out, burn out in turn 1, bringing the checkered flag back around. As we're getting our staff, and be careful down there, folks, as we get the staff down towards victory lane. Busch will be headed there, 2nd year in 3 tries here at the Berlin Raceway. Looking out to the rest of the finishing order, Brian Eichler coming home 6th. Terry Van Heitzman will come home 7th. Tom Thomas will be 8th. Looks like the 9th spot, Derek Griffin comes back for a good run there, and Johnny Van Dorn looks like he's going to get credited for 10th despite the wreck at the end of the race. It was kind of a rough one here tonight at the Berlin Raceway. Matt Duke Kenfield's going to be in victory lane, and it's going to be awful busy down there as Kyle Busch will be getting out. Of course, he'll get words with all 3 of the top finishers here on Speed 51 Radio. Folks, if we don't get to the finish here on Speed 51 Radio, check out our trackside now coverage on speed51.com. We'll get that up there. Of course, we've got a lot more action we got to do. We got to get in the car and head on down the road and go over to the ASA Midwest race in Wisconsin tomorrow. Long drive around the lake, but we'll have more action for you tomorrow night here on Speed 51 Radio. Matt Duke Kenfield's down there in victory lane. We're going to send it down to him as we're getting ready for Kyle to come out as the winner.
He's doing it.
Kyle Busch brings the Flexco Racing number 51 into victory lane. The KBM guys coming all the way from Mooresville, North Carolina to celebrate with him in victory lane here in Marne, Michigan. KB taking the helmet off, getting a refreshing drink. These boys flew in on Monday morning. Pretty pumped up, thinking that they had 2 good hot rods here between KB and Brian Eichler. Eichler had a strong run, not nearly as strong as Kyle Busch is here tonight. Super late model team general manager Bon Suss leaning in. Almost ready for Kyle to jump on out here. Last year, this was Rowdy's revenge. This year, it's Rowdy's repeat. Kyle Busch in victory lane here at Berlin Raceway. Everybody down here now.
When he comes through, go right to the front of the car and we'll get him right here.
Need to get Kyle on over here as he congratulates his crew and vice versa. And Kyle, we talked to you last year how much you wanted your revenge on this place. You got it. Now you got a repeat. How does that feel?
It's pretty cool, man. Again, you know, it's fun to come out to Berlin Raceway. I love running here. It's a great place to race, and you know, we can't do it without the fan support, so we appreciate them and Mike and everybody that here at Berlin Raceway that helped us out this weekend. And of course, can't say enough about my guys from Flexco. You know, they were up in the deck in turn 1. We're all about it. And, you know, these guys do such a great job for us in supporting our truck program. I appreciate their support here, and can't thank Toyota and Nos Energy Drink, Flexco again. But, you know, these guys on this KBM team did a phenomenal job. You know, it's a brand new race car, so brand new car right out of the stables, and she wins the race. That's cool.
You had a very strong race car throughout the entire race, but Johnny Van Dorn kept up with you. Made you earn it for the first little bit. Did you know that he was there and kind of peppering your back bumper a couple times?
Yeah, he was. We traded it a little bit back and forth there, and traded a few stripes with each other too. But you know, it's good hard racing. You know, late models, that's what makes it fun. You know, we kept it clean. I got into him a little too hard off a 2 one time, and I backed out. I let him go. You know, let him gather his stuff back up. So, hey, thanks, JB. And you know, it's cool to come out here race with guys like JB and Brian Campbell and Van Dorn, Chase Elliott, the boys. So, you know, hopefully we put on a good show for the fans. It was certainly exciting from my driver's seat. You know, you never get a chance to rest here at this place, so you're always doing something.
The guys tell you that Johnny Benson was coming hard for you at the end of the race there?
Yeah, I was trying all I had there at the end of the race. You know, I felt like I was giving up a little bit of time, but Johnny was right there, you know, lurking in the wake and going to pounce at any moment. So cool to have guys like that you can beat.
Kyle Busch in victory lane here tonight at Berlin Raceway.